Astute Quotations, Part 9. Leadership is a matter of having people look at you and gain confidence. Tom Landry, Dallas Cowboys. I used to say of him that his presence on the field made the difference of 40,000 men. The Duke of Wellington regarding Napoleon. A leader has to show the face his team needs to see. Mike Krzyzewski, Duke University basketball. The personality must be bigger than the prop. Magician Harry Blackstone Sr. Not the cry, but the flight of the wild duck leads the flock to fly and follow. Chinese proverb. When you touch, don't take. Touch people only when you are giving something. Ken Blanchard, author of The 1 Minute Manager, 1982. Implementation beats oration. Aesop. How often I hear patients with hunched, tense shoulders and clenched jaws say, "But I am relaxed." David Sobel, Chief of Preventive Medicine, Kaiser Permanente Medical Center, San Jose, California. The mental never influences the physical. It is always the physical that modifies the mental. And when we think that the mind is diseased, it is always an illusion. Claude Bernard, renowned French physiologist. If your body is not in shape to sing, you will push and push, but keep falling back on your throat to make the sound. This will ruin your voice. Luciano Pavarotti. Trust only movement. Life happens at the level of events, not of words. Trust movement. Psychiatrist Alfred Adler. I don't believe in psychology. I believe in good moves. Bobby Fischer. The intellect by itself moves nothing. Aristotle. I understand a fury in your words, but not the words. From Othello. Where can I find a man who has forgotten words so I can have a word with him? Shang Tzu, from the 4th century BC. There's an old saying among players in football that talking about your general manager and coaches, well, they speak with a forked tongue. Joe Namath, New York Jets. I want to kiss you. Joe Namath. Words are useful only to the degree they assist us in creating mental imagery. Sports psychologist Charles Garfield. The deepest rivers flow with the least sound. Quintus Curtius, from the 1st century A.D. The shallower the brook, the more it babbles. Indonesian proverb. Promise is most given when the least is said. George Chapman, 1559 to 1634. Reason has proved itself completely powerless, precisely because its arguments have an effect only on the conscious mind and not on the unconscious. Carl Jung. Preach the gospel all the time. If necessary, use words. St. Francis of Assisi. The void is waiting for vocabulary. Edmund Jabez, 1912 to 1991. Athletes play better when they feel connected with their team. UCLA basketball coach John Wooden. For a manager to be perceived as a positive manager, they need a 4-to-1 positive to negative contact ratio. That's from Ken Blanchard, author of The 1 Minute Manager. When virtues are pointed out first, flaws seem less insurmountable. Judith Martin, who's also known as Miss Manners. When you're winning, you can ride them harder because their self-esteem is high. If you are losing and you try to be tough, you are asking for dissension. Basketball coach Rick Pitino. The shepherd always tries to persuade the sheep that their interests and his are the same. Stendhal. If one does not expect the unexpected, one will not find it, for it is not reached by search or trial. Heraclitus. Risk more than others think is safe. Care more than others think is wise. Dream more than others think is practical. Expect more than others think is possible. The cadet maxim at the West Point Military Academy. High achievement always takes place in the framework of high expectation. Inventor Charles Kettering. Act like you expect to get into the end zone. Joe Paterno, Penn State University. The difference of great players is at a certain point in a match they raise their level of play and maintain it. Lesser players play great for a set, but then less. Pete Sampras, former world tennis champ. Complacency is the last great hurdle standing between any team and its potential greatness. NBA coach and executive Pat Riley. Champions aren't made in gyms. Muhammad Ali. The reverse side also has a reverse side. Japanese proverb. Cause and effect are two sides of one fact. Emerson. A hen is only an egg's way of making another egg. Samuel Butler. Are you really sure that a floor can't also be a ceiling? Artist M.C. Escher. If you're going to be a leader, you're going to have a very loose relationship with this thing called I, or me. Maybe that whole thing in me around which the universe revolves isn't so central. Maybe life is not about the self, but about self-transcendence. Werner Erhard. When I gave up me, I became more. Don Mattingly, New York Yankees. Never trust the artist, trust the tale. D.H. Lawrence. Lolita is famous, not I. Vladimir Nabokov. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, attributed, at least, to Sigmund Freud, a smoker. Every emotion or thought is always connected with some electrical current. Alfred Korzybski, Polish engineer, philosopher. All generalizations are dangerous, even this one. Alexander Dumas. To generalize is to be an idiot. William Blake. Fraud lurks in generalities. Legal maxim. Everything absolute belongs to pathology. Nietzsche. Impatience for victory guarantees defeat. Louis XIV. Some people look at an egg and expect it to crow. Orison Swett Marden, New Thought writer. Hurry and impatience are sure marks of the amateurs. Evelyn Underhill, scholar of mysticism. My greatest asset was not my physical ability, it was my mental. Bruce Jenner, gold medalist in the decathlon, but I'm not sure if it was the men's or the women's, in 1976. Football is a simple game. 22 men chase a ball for 90 minutes, and at the end, the Germans always win. Gary Lineker, former pro footballer and BBC commentator. Some people are on the pitch. They think it's all over. It is now. It's 4. Kenneth Wolstenholme, broadcasting England's World Cup final victory over Germany in 1996. Discovery should come as an adventure rather than as a result of a logical process of thought. Sharp, prolonged thinking is necessary that we may keep on the chosen road, but it does not necessarily lead to discovery. The investigator must be ready and on the spot when the light comes from whatever direction. Pioneering pathologist Theobald Smith. To the logical limit. Echo and the Bunnyman from Over the Wall. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in the bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. A nice nin. It was the sweetness of the risk that I remembered, and not its dangers. Golfer Arnold Palmer. Consistency is the last refuge of the unimaginative. Oscar Wilde. I never hit a shot, not even in practice, without having a very sharp, in-focus picture of it in my head. Jack Nicklaus. Visualizing the swing is useless if you fail to visualize what it's supposed to achieve. Jack Nicklaus. Half the golf balls struck by amateurs are hit, if not in rage, surely in bewilderment. Journalist George Plimpton. Do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can. John Wooden, basketball coach, UCLA. The mediocre always feel as if they're fighting for their lives when confronted by the excellent. Marie von Ebner-Eschenbach, Austrian novelist, 1830 to 1916. Give up the islands that reinforce mediocrity. Werner Erhard. Everything I've ever done was out of fear of being mediocre. Country singer Chet Atkins. People who are unable to motivate themselves must be content with mediocrity, no matter how impressive their other talents. Andrew Carnegie. To be number 1, you must train like you are number 2. Morris Green, gold medalist sprinter. To achieve anything in this game, you must be prepared to dabble on the boundary of disaster. Sterling Moss, Formula One racer. To win, you have to risk loss. Jean-Claude Killy, gold medalist skier. Baseball's fundamental trade-off is the purchase of opportunity by the coin of risk. George F. Will, from his book Men at Work, 1990. Women are not at ease except with those who take chances with them and enter into their spirit. Ninon de L'Enclos, French courtesan, 1620 to 1705. The absence of risk is a sure sign of mediocrity. Father Charles de Foucault, French martyr. People who don't take risks generally make about 2 big mistakes a year. People who do take risks generally make about 2 big mistakes a year. Management consultant Peter Drucker. Most people never run far enough on their first wind to find out they've got a second. As you know, Shibumi has to do with great refinement underlying commonplace appearances. It is a statement so correct that it does not have to be bold, so poignant it does not have to be pretty, so true it does not have to be real. Shibumi is understanding rather than knowledge. Eloquent silence. In demeanor, it is modesty without pudency. In art, where the spirit of Shibumi takes the form of sabi, it is elegant simplicity, articulate brevity. In philosophy, where Shibumi emerges as wabi, it is spiritual tranquility that is not passive. It is being without the angst of becoming. Trevanian, from his novel Shibumi, 1979. Acerbic good taste. James Michener, from his novel Iberia, describing Shibumi. Tact is good taste in action. Diane de Poitiers, French courtier, 1499 to 1566. Effortless effectiveness, understated excellence, beautiful imperfection. Matthew May, The Shibumi Strategy, from 2010. Sounds like a book I would never pick off the shelf. Per Wikipedia, even baseball players are said to exhibit Shibumi when they contribute to the overall success of the team without doing anything to make themselves stand out individually. The coach will find that one of his most important roles is to dispel the fear in his pupil. Nick Stewart, Olympic gymnast and coach. Heroes and cowards feel the same fear. Heroes just react to it differently. Boxing coach Cus D'Amato. I never had the fear of getting beat, which is how most people lose. Dan Gable, Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, 1972. We promise according to our hopes and perform according to our fears. Dag Hammarskjöld, former UN Secretary General. There's an intimate connection between fear and a tight psoas. Liz Koch, The Psoas Book. The psoas is on the internal side of our pelvic bone. Some people have described it as the front butt. I talk in these terms sometimes, pulling in some bodywork issues and quotations because I am a licensed massage therapist in the state of Pennsylvania, USA. It is not necessarily the pieces which seem to fit satisfactorily. It is the pieces that don't fit that decide the issue. Physicist Peter Warlow. The difference between peak performers and everybody else is much smaller than everybody else thinks. Sports psychologist Charles Garfield. Inches make champions. NFL coach Vince Lombardi. The winning of a pawn among good players of even strength often means the winning of the game. Jose Raul Capablanca, considered the greatest chess player ever. A hero is no braver than an ordinary man, but he is braver 5 minutes longer. Ralph Waldo Emerson. The team that wins 2/3 of its one-run games usually wins the pennant. Pete Rose, Cincinnati Reds. Heroism, the Caucasian mountaineers say, is endurance for 1 moment more. George Kennan, 1845 to 1924, American explorer. Genius means the transcendent capacity of taking trouble, first of all. Thomas Carlyle, Scottish philosopher. It is their genius making them attentive, not their attention making geniuses of them. William James. Nobody in football should be called a genius. A genius is a guy like Norman Einstein. Joe Theismann, former quarterback for the Washington Redskins. Colleges hate geniuses, just as convents hate saints. Emerson. Enlightenment is like everyday consciousness, but 2 inches above the ground. D.T. Suzuki. Definition of a lighthouse. A tall building on the seashore in which the government maintains a lamp, as well as the friend of a politician. Ambrose Bierce from his Devil's Dictionary, 1906. Hitting is timing. Pitching is upsetting timing. Warren Spahn, Hall of Fame pitcher. If his timing fluctuates, it invariably does so in the right place at the right time. Beatles producer George Martin regarding Ringo. You win battles by knowing the enemy's timing and using a timing the enemy does not expect. Swordmaster Miyamoto Musashi, 1584 to 1645. Anxiety is the edge I have on the pitcher and the catcher. When I'm on base, they're filled with anxiety, and that gives me an edge. Lou Brock, master base stealer, St. Louis Cardinals. The idea is to break as soon as the pitcher begins his motion. You're counting on the fact that the pitcher will panic. Billy Martin, Yankees, on stealing home plate. He slid into second. Dizzy Dean. When corrected on his grammar, he replied, "Sludded?" It's just as important to know when not to go as it is when to go. Maury Wills, Los Angeles Dodgers, master base stealer. Find out what other teams want to do, then Take it away from them. George Halas, former head coach, Chicago Bears. Diana Rigg, British actress, is built like a brick mausoleum with insufficient flying buttresses. Film critic and moron John Simon, 1970, writing for New York Magazine, if I recall correctly. They, actors, can't help how they look, any more than John Simon can help looking like a rat. Reputable film critic Roger Ebert. The player owes the gallery as much as an actor owes the audience. Tennis great Bill Tilden. The audience is not the least important actor in the play, and if it will not do its allotted share, the play falls to pieces. Somerset Maugham. An arch never sleeps. Indian proverb. Pablo Picasso was never called an asshole. The Modern Lovers. Control the negative. Heard at the gym. When I get up in the morning, it sounds like I'm making popcorn. Lawrence Taylor, New York Giants linebacker. In all activities of life, the secret of efficiency lies in an ability to combine two seemingly incompatible states, a state of maximum activity and a state of maximum relaxation. Aldous Huxley. It is not the horse that draws the cart, but the oats. Russian proverb. Marry me, and I'll never look at another horse. Groucho Marx from A Day at the Races. The horse must have confidence in you. Equestrian Rachel Hunt. The test of a good jockey isn't the races that he should win. It's the ones he wins that he shouldn't win. Jockey Charlie Smirk. Horses don't know the odds. Nick Zito, horse trainer. The stupider the peasant, the better the horse understands him. Anton Chekhov. The best carpenters leave the fewest chips. German proverb. It is no semantic accident that posture and attitude apply to both the physical and psychological domains. Dr. Irwin Kaur, osteopath, 1904 to 2004. Players taught to watch the man with the ball leaves them totally unprepared for the next move, which is always dictated by a player without the ball. Tommy Doherty, or Docherty, former manager of Manchester United. It doesn't matter who scores the point, it's who can get the ball to the scorer. Larry Bird, Boston Celtics. Pele made his goals because another player passed to him at the proper time. Pele. Intent is everything. One does not jump. One lifts into the air. Dancer Agnes de Mille. Our muscles should obey our will. Our will should not be dominated by the reflex actions of our muscles. Joseph Pilates. The will must be stronger than the skill. Muhammad Ali. The less effort, the faster and more powerful you will be. Bruce Lee. His bat was part of his nervous system. playwright Harold Pinter regarding cricketer Sir Len Hutton. This completes Astute Quotations, Part 9.